in Iraq. How much of an expansion of American operations against ISIL would you say this is?
Well, this is really something that the Obama administration said back on October 30th that it was going to be doing, that it was going to, for example, be relying more heavily on raids to try to find key ISIL personnel and take them off the battlefield. But what we're really seeing during this hearing before the House Armed Services Committee is really more of a defense of the U.S.'s strategy. We're not getting many precise details, mainly because that means they would have to go into classified session, which means those of us on the outside wouldn't be able to find out the particulars of how this is going to work. But this basically is the Obama administration saying we are committed to this fight, even if it means it's bringing us right up to what could be considered the line for whether we're actually engaging in any sort of ground combat. Up until now, it's only been about 3,500 military advisors who have been providing intelligence and training support to Iraqi and Kurdish forces, not actually being so close working side by side with them on these types of missions, particularly in Iraq.
Two questions to round this off, Ros, if we can. These groups of fighters, these US fighters, it is going to be a bigger number than it is at present, I understand. Tell me about that and expand a little bit more on the concerns about mission creep.
Well, one, we don't know how many people are going to be involved, and two, this does raise the specter of mission creep. Some of the members, particularly the Democratic members of the House Armed Services Committee, have raised that question about whether there does need to be a formal legal authorization for what the U.S. has been doing in Operation Inherent Resolve, as it calls it, in Iraq since August 2014, and a month later in Syria, September 2015. However, they haven't gotten into too much of whether or not there should be this legal authorization, but there is that concern, because then if you start raising questions about, well, what other forces are going to need to be brought in, whether or not the U.S. is taking on an operation that by rights ought to be more heavily carried out by the Iraqis themselves, by other countries in the Middle East. It is going to renew that discussion, particularly now that this new deployment has a name and has the imprint of it's actually going to be doing things that would be traditionally considered combat work.
Rosalind Jordan inside the rotunda at the Capitol building, thank you. And as an adjunct to this, a long-awaited prisoner swap's taken place between the Lebanese army and the armed group al-Nusra Front. 16 soldiers released after being held by the Syria-based rebels for more than a year. Under that deal, Lebanon's freed 13 prisoners, among them an ex-wife of the ISIL leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Rob Matheson has the details.
Back in the arms of their families, 16 Lebanese soldiers freed by al-Nusra Front, the result of a delicate prisoner exchange which took a year to negotiate. They were captured in the northern city of Arsal after fierce fighting broke out between the group and the Lebanese army in August.